my wife, girlfriend at the time, I went to go and see her, pissed out of my head, drove a car, crashed the car.
This is Tom Wood. He's the founder of Talent Matched. He's an entrepreneur. He's built several businesses. Today we've got the opportunity to sit down after we fell out a little bit, where he commented on intelligent connection starting to dominate human connection.
People losing their homes, suicide attempts, empathy and emotion. Can it do that? And that's the bit I'm unsure about.
That is what it does much better. I challenged his wife to give him advice compared to that of ChatGPT.
I'd have to tell the truth, I can't keep secrets.
Here's what I'd recommend Tom does in this incredibly delicate situation.
Sex bots and that stuff. In 6 years, we're all jobless, banging the shit out of each other.
I was actually scanning your facial expressions and hand movements. This allowed me to predict your next...
I mean, that's frightening, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. So good to meet you, mate. I'm delighted that we got to do this, and I wanted to do it sooner when we reached out like a few weeks back.
Yeah.
But actually, just at the point of having that conversation with you around you explaining to me what you're doing with Talent Matched, and then me kind of saying to you that you need to not talk to me too much because our landscape is shifting.
Yeah.
Just over that period, we've kind of unlocked, I guess, the real full potential of what we've been seeking to do for about 2 years with Super Reach.
Yeah.
And so my reason for not reaching out to you quicker is that literally probably within a week of talking to you, my world just turned upside down completely. Yeah. And so we've been working like 15-hour days, 7 days a week since you've probably been there. You know, that you have that nirvana moment, that moment of clarity, which I sense you're at yourself a little bit.
Always. I think I have moments of clarity every day, 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yes.
You know, we were at that point probably 6 months ago,
Right.
when we suddenly went, shit, we're on something here. We're on something. And then you just keep on having them.
Yes.
I had a couple over the weekend. You
Brilliant.
know, I'm constantly messaging my tech team. What about this? Can we do this?
Yes.
And you can see they're getting excited. Then we chuck it into Trello. Do you know Trello, like project management thing?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Chuck it in the mud. You know, it joins the list of ideas. You know.
Yes. Amazing. Yeah, it's good. And do you know what? I tell you what, I was having this conversation with, I think you're probably in a similar place, which is that, so we were building out some kind of sales and recruitment applications. Other half of the team and our CTO really was focused on an AI services tech stack, which was about, and we were just stacking capability, trying to reach this nirvana state where we had autonomy and flexibility to be able to deliver services in a really unique way.
Yeah.
That was predominantly focused on sales and recruitment. But what's happened is, because we're focused on the capability and the flexibility of what we're doing, it's actually created a universal opportunity.
Yeah.
And just like you were saying there, that what's amazing is that when you reach a place where you're really clear of your kind of legacy tech issues, problems that you're trying to solve, and you're in this new state, everything you work on is an innovation. Yeah. And I sense that's what you're talking about with those ideas, and that's an unbelievable place to be.
Yeah, you break through barriers, and then once you break through those barriers, suddenly everything is possible.
Yes.
Everything is we could do that. Well, we could add that to it, you know.
Yes.
Because you've done that initial bit, you know.
Yep.
We're talking at the minute about real deep analysis of you know, people's CVs, people's resumes.
Yes.
Real deep stuff, you know, trying to incorporate some kind of cultural assessment, bringing in other social media platforms and adding them into the pot to create this kind of holistic view of some, you know, and it's that stuff's quite easy, because we've got this foundation, we've got these LLMs that we've programmed and trained to do certain things, and we've now got that to the point we've got this baseline of what we can do.
Yes.
The rest is just adding on now, and you're kind of going, the things we can do is endless.
Do you know what? I keep having this thing, it's happened about 6 days ago. Whatever I talk about the day before, the next day becomes front and center of the conversation. Yeah. It's really weird, and it keeps happening. And it's the same thing. I had exactly this conversation yesterday. I did a meeting between kind of 9:30 and 11:30. And I think that for that very reason that you've just spoken about is the death of the European and potentially the US car industry, right? And it's because these Chinese kind of electric, autonomous vehicles that they're building, these manufacturers, right, have zero legacy issues.
Yeah.
So you look at BYD and these other companies, and every part, literally every 0.1% of effort that they have is building on innovation without any constraint of brand.
Yeah.
What
Past
does this
problems,
mean? Our legacy, our factories, our people. Whereas these European manufacturers, US manufacturers, it's like new idea is 99.9% dealing with the consequences and 0.1% focused on the innovation.
Yeah.
And for that reason, I think there's a really possible chance of us seeing the Detroitification of the European car industry.
But you also think it's probably going to happen in software as well. You know, so I had 2 discovery calls yesterday with big, large global enterprise.
Right.
And they use Workday. And these are big, you know, I don't mind one of them Zoom. And the frustration and challenges that comes with Workday, not in, you know, employee management and HR and those kind of stuff, but on talent and recruitment, major frustrations and major challenges. And you look at someone like Workday and you go, they're almost going to have to reinvent their whole business because of AI.
Yeah.
And that's not an easy thing to do, especially when you're dealing with an ERP with you know, modules and various different aspects that are integrated with all different businesses and it's used to working a certain way. You then go, we've got all this AI now that can do. You've got to change the whole business. Whereas, like you're saying, new businesses that are coming along that are born into AI
native,
that are AI native, they haven't got any of those legacy problems. You know, they've got none of that historical. They can just come in quick, nimble, agile, fix thing. You know, so much easier. And I have this conversation with a lot of people because I kind of go, why aren't people like LinkedIn doing what I'm doing? Why aren't Workday doing what I'm doing? Why aren't Bullhorn doing what I'm doing? And I think it is because of the legacy systems they've got.
100%.
You know, it's like turning an aircraft carrier.
Yes.
It's not. They can't quickly just switch on the stuff that we're doing. Yeah. And they're trying to solve a million other problems within their business. Whereas, like I say, native, you know, born native AI.
It's a very different world.
Just come in and do it.
But like you were talking about, it's the net newness of it. So now that you're AI native, everything you do is an innovation. There isn't anything that I do or think about and talk about now which is something that's been done before.
No. The technology we've got, the basic capability, we had that in the Hub, which is our job searcher platform. And it's quite funny because it was in the Hub 12, 18 months ago. We built it. We've now repurposed it, improved it. Because of that innovation element, I sit there and kind of look at what we've got right now and think it's old in my mind. It isn't old because no one's doing it and no one's used. But in my mind, because I'm now going, but we can go here, and here, and we can do this and this bit here that we've got currently. I'm going, that's outdated. Well, it isn't outdated because no one's got it. No one's doing it. No one's doing what we're doing. So it's innovative to everybody else. To me, that's let's say had those nirvana moments, those breakthrough moments. I'm sitting there going, this is outdated. We've got to update this. You know, we've got to, you know, which is a funny way of talking because I'm talking to my tech team and they're going, what we've got is innovative. Yes. What we've got is groundbreaking. You know, but because I've now realised what we can do on top of that. Yes. I'm over there. You know.
Yeah, and that's a great place to be. And I think what you have to think about is how you're not a stepping stone. In this world of AI.
Yeah. Our ICP was SMB recruitment companies, and we, you know, we're doing great in that market. People are loving it, and you know, but the ones that are coming to us are McDonald's, Zoom, Ericsson.
I think that the AI agents will do it. They're not doing it today.
No,
but if you roll forward 2 years, they will be doing it. There's
an interesting space within kind of SMB recruitment. SMB, I mean, how high does that go? You know, some of our, you know, if we talk about the likes of Salt, you know, massive company, they're probably still in that SMB. They're not enterprise, you know, but they're a 90 million revenue business, you know. There's this kind of weird period for them where they're doing a lot of things with tech, but then they're not doing some of the basic things with tech. So if I look at, for example, LinkedIn's got easy apply. LinkedIn's easy apply is quite a broken and disjointed way of people applying to jobs and receiving applications. They go to your inbox typically. Now there's a new tool called Apply Connect come out, which links easy apply to your CRM or your ATS. People don't like that because it's just opening the floodgates to all the crap that's going into your CRM. There's no filter on it. So at the minute everyone's going, well yeah, we'll put Ezra email address, applications go to your inbox. You go and put a software engineer in London, you're going to get bombarded. I mean, we tested this the other day. I got 4,000 applications to a software engineer London remote. Within about a week, it's 4,000 applications, all in my inbox. So that's ridiculous from a tech point of view, from an efficiency point of view. But all of these companies are doing it. So you look at that and go, why aren't they doing it in a more efficient way? The reason is historical tech. Bullhorn haven't mastered a way of dealing with that problem. Workday haven't, Greenhouse, whoever else. So there is this opportunity with SMB recruitment companies where you can solve a problem really simply. Yes. Really simply by going, well, we can put talent matched in, we can create a unified inbox, it can sit on your inbox, it can extract applications, process them really quickly. You don't have to see those applications anymore, just log into a dashboard, done. It's a really simple solution. So there is an opportunity there with SMB where there is this kind of, I'd say, a tech adoption generally, because a lot of recruitment companies are still quite basic on their tech. Bullhorn, they probably don't use it to its maximum capability. They're probably still using Excel. They're probably all still getting CVs coming into their inbox. They're not using a centralized point, So there is this tech adoption, and then there's this AI adoption. And a lot of people at the minute haven't fully got their head around AI. There's this noise of AI because they're kind of, well, what do we use AI? So there is still a window, but I think that window's closing.
I think AI agents will be able to do some of that for smaller businesses.
Yeah.
2 years from now.
Yeah.
Okay. But you don't need to if you're already in there. Where I see long-term, huge, long-term value is recruitment teams are a small part of the cog. If you're a recruiter in the McDonald's, or the Zoom team or whatever, you're a very small cog about hiring process.
Yeah.
And I think that at that point, with what you're already doing, just becomes an incumbent layer of technology that solves a massive
Well, the
problem.
McDonald's is an interesting one. So the McDonald's setup, and I think McDonald's operates this way globally. So you've got corporate. In most countries, you'll have McDonald's corporate, which is the HQ. Yeah. They will own a number of restaurants that sit under corporate, and then you've got franchises. Yeah. So this particular country that we're working with, you've got 205 corporate-owned restaurants, and then you've got 205 franchised restaurants. Corporate do whatever corporate say. Yes. The franchises can do their own thing, but they typically follow what corporates say. So we're kind of forgetting them for a minute because there'll be a gradual kind of rollout with them. The 205 corporates that we're talking to and working with, they get probably 3 or 5 open vacancies a month on average, and we're talking, car park cleaner, drive-through attendant, toilet cleaner, whatever it may be. So we're talking general roles and whatever. So between 3 and 5 per restaurant per month. They get 1,000 applications per role per month. So 205 restaurants, you're talking 615,000 applications every month going through McDonald's. Up until recently, they were paper. There were people walking in with CVs going, "Can I have a job?" And it was only when they went, we can't keep doing this. You can't keep accepting paper. And it was, there was managers, assistant managers, team leaders accepting this paper, and it was just like a stack of paper. So they went, right, we're going to have some kind of a link, So they've now got a link, but it doesn't go anywhere. And bizarrely, the link they're using, it's not their own data, so they're not storing the data, retaining the data, all these kind of things. And it's only when you look at all this and you go, this is McDonald's. Yes. Why have they not got some amazing system? But they just haven't. And they've probably done things a certain way, and they've done things a certain, had a certain process, and it's probably worked to a degree. But you plug Talent Match in there and you go, right, all of your restaurants now have a link to Talent Matched. They can all access a dashboard, so the manager can access a dashboard. You'll get all your applications going in there. You post your jobs on the careers page on Talent Matched. Applications go in, they tally up. You click on the dashboard, you click on the 90% match. You can see the summary, you can see all the detail explaining why they're right. You can see the breakdown. Call them. And the problem it's solving is the time spent of reviewing these applications, the inefficiency, the bad hiring, the increased productivity now that the team have now got, the managers, the restaurants have now got, the hiring managers have got. It's huge. Brand strength, getting back to applicants. So all of our applicants on Talent Match get automated messages, but personalised feedback. Everybody gets a message at various points.
And it's a foundational place as well, which you're in, which is you will build up on that tech stack. Yeah.
Constantly. Yeah. We're already looking at how do we build a moat around the tech stack. The obvious place for us is job distribution, right? You look at Logic Mail, look at Broadbean, look at Idaboo. Well, we can do that. We'll go and get the relationships with the job boards. And then you post on our platform, it distributes everywhere. We'll get the relationship with LinkedIn. So job distribution, you then go, okay, well, the capability we've now got, let's go into the database. Let's go into the CRM with the integration. Let's match what's in there already. So we can harvest and clean what's in there. So we've got inbound coming in. We'll go in there and harvest and clean that. Then we could do outbound, not just in LinkedIn, but everywhere. Okay, well, let's build that. You just keep on going, and then you can look at agentic AI. Well, could we put that in there somewhere? Let's have a chat bot. Let's clone me and train a chat bot that's me with all my knowledge, all my experience of recruitment to be a chat bot there. So you can ask it questions, and so many things you can do on it.
You're on it?
Well, apparently,
Amazing.
And
where are you in terms of signing up customers? You're now onboarding and
signing up customers. I mean, it's been one of those stop starts. You go, right, yeah, we're gonna go live, and you go to go live. Shit, that's not working, right? And then you suddenly realize there's a problem. One of the problems was location. We had this funny moment where we thought we'd nailed location, because one of the big things with job applications is people applying to jobs they're not eligible to work in that country. And we nailed it. And then we suddenly realised that we were missing people. So, give an example. We've got a Champneys Health Spa. We do some work for them, and they typically need people on site. Tring, Hertfordshire, near our friends in Wigginton. So they need someone on site. So someone applies to the job but lives in Hampshire, which is 85 miles away, but they're a shit hot candidate. Really good match. Our system rejects them because they're not they can't do on-site in Hertfordshire. And I was like, but what if they can relocate? Shit, we didn't think about that. So then you're about to go live and onboard these customers, and you're going, people can relocate. Shit. So then you have to work that issue out, So then you go to a bit, you go, okay, we're going to create another box, which is potential matches. Anybody over 75% from a skills match, but lives over 50 miles away, they get an automated question. You're a great match, but you do realise this is 50 miles away. Are you open to relocate?
And so this is just so much easier because you're AI native.
That took 4 hours just to build that additional bit.
Incredible.
Able to pick up the radius, pick up the distance, work out a way. We've got Google... it's Google Maps API we've managed to get into there, I think, or Google Location API into there. So we can now pick up the radius exactly. But it was solved within a couple of minutes.
Amazing. What was it built in? What languages?
Oh, God, now you're asking. So we're using AWS from a data point of view. Gemini, OpenAI, and DeepSeek from LLM.
Did you expect to be as deep into the AI space as quickly? No.
Funny. So someone said to me the other day, like, you're recruitment, aren't you? And I was like, I actually think I'm an AI SaaS vendor now. And it was like, can I call myself that? Am I still a recruit? And I actually went, no, we are. We're an AI SaaS vendor. And that's weird because I've spent 20 odd years recruiting. And especially, I've done sales recruiting. So I've always recruited for SaaS vendors and cybersecurity companies, and my background started out in SAP, and so I've always known the SaaS world, the software world, and now I'm in it. But my wife will tell you, I said a long time ago that's where I want to be. Probably 15, 20 years ago, that's where I want to be. And I'd love to say there was a methodical plan.
I'm guessing that you've got there just by asking the right questions and solving.
Just, opportunities, I think, and seeing opportunities. I mean, I also think there's a moment in time where, and I'm not spiritual or anything like that, but I do think there's a moment in time when the stars align a bit. And there's various points in my life I could say stars align. One of them, and my wife always cringes when I say this, when I got into recruitment, I was in car sales, and I went out as a 18-year-old, got really pissed with my mates. My wife, girlfriend at the time, called me to go and see her. I went to go and see her, pissed out of my head, drove a car, crashed the car, lost my license, couldn't do car sales anymore, so I got a job in recruitment. But you look at that and go, that was a really shit thing to do. That was a really shit event. But would I be where I am now if I hadn't done that? Yes. Possibly.
Yeah, circumstances and environment.
I might still be a car salesman.
When I said you ask questions, I actually meant something different. I think that entrepreneurs get to where they get to or successful ones do, by just choosing to solve the right problems.
Yeah.
And I think it's just a process of solving problems.
I think, I mean, the entrepreneurial thing, and you'll get this, you're inquisitive, you're curious, you have a million itches that need scratching. I don't know about you, but I've got ADHD, I've got OCD, I've got all these traits that enable me to I can't switch my brain off.
Right.
I think that's a part of it.
Yes.
Curiosity.
When you link it all back, all those things come back to this drive to fix the problems in front of us. Your curiosity, your ADHD, your OCD, you're obsessing over the problems.
Yeah.
And you're just unlocking problems all the time.
Recruitment, and I always said this, recruitment, and I don't like people say recruitment's broken. It isn't broken. It's fucking worked. For a long time, it's worked. I know a lot of people that have got very, very, very wealthy from recruitment in its traditional sense. So you can't tell me it's broken, because it definitely isn't. But there are inefficiencies in recruitment, always were, and I always look at that, and not just the one I'm solving now, but there are constant inefficiencies. There's an inefficiency, and part of what you're doing will probably be able to solve this. The 360 recruiter role, if you put that into any other industry, so put that into a SaaS business, they don't have 360 salespeople. They have SDRs, BDRs, they have account execs, they have account directors, they've got pre-sales.
But those inefficiencies you talk about, they become inefficiencies as parallel universes, industries, businesses, technologies start to address parallel problems. And so when I was recruiting in 1999, I didn't look around me and go, this is hugely inefficient.
Yeah.
I went, it's a fun way to
great
make money.
Yeah.
But as then what happens is you see other people solving problems in different ways.
Yeah.
And that exposes the inefficiencies.
Yeah.
And like you say, 360 wasn't, we've done a lot of 180 and teams, but 360 necessarily wasn't a problem until you look at the way a SaaS business operates, and it provides a tremendous amount of support to its sales.
We were always, Henderson Scott, I was there for a long time. Evans Denham, the business my wife and I had, zero marketing team, really.
Yes.
Henderson Scott, good business, big business. Didn't really have a marketing team. And that was always one for me. Everything was outbound. And you look at any other business and they focus on inbound. And they focus on partners. And they focus on alliances, channel. Recruitment doesn't do that. And it was those things for me. I'm always like, why? It's almost like we're making it harder than it should be. Why aren't we looking at partnerships? Why aren't we looking at building a real... And I'm talking historic. People probably are now. People probably are investing in marketing. They probably are investing in content creation and people are doing podcasts, obviously. And so there is a lot more that goes into that now. But, when I was at Henderson Scott, that was 2018. The business was sold. That wasn't that long ago. But there wasn't that Portland resourcing when I was there. don't think there was a marketing team. So you kind of look at that and go, imagine if we adopted that mentality. So again, you put, I look at me, I'm a new business person. I love new business. Again, that's part of the ADHD. I love the chase. I love the hunt. I love the winning. But when I win, I want to go and chase again. I don't want to sit and, I want to keep going. Put that into a recruitment team. Get some new business people. Just banging down doors. Don't have them sourcing and searching for applicants and searching dates, but they're going to go mad. And I would go mad. My wife, honestly, it would drive her mad when we were at Evans Denham, because she would see me winning business when we're building the recruitment company, and I was hands-on. I think I built like 750 in the second year, I think. God knows how, because my ADHD wouldn't allow me to do it. I'd always chase new business. She'd be sitting there going, fill the bloody vacancy. Like, fill the role. That's revenue. And I'm like, yeah, I will. But I'm chasing the next one. And, and it's... I think if you've got those kind of people, you've got to put them into their right roles. And again, recruitment didn't historically do that. It might be doing it now more so, but it didn't historically do that.
I think it's on a huge transformation change.
Yeah.
I think it's going to look, you wind forward, I think as little as 36 months from now.
Yeah.
And I think there's going to be a huge disruption in the sector.
Do you buy into any of this? Recruitment companies will be gone and closing, and people are saying, it's going to kill recruitment companies.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Do you?
Yeah. I think it'll just change the industry. I think it will constrain it. I think that candidate-driven markets will continue to exist.
Yeah.
And where there's a high volume of candidates, that those will be highly affected by AI.
Yeah.
And so you'll need different people, different skill sets for those. And I think why that is pivotal is that I kind of anticipate this. I call it the delta. It's the delta as we start to lose jobs and the rate of new types of jobs opening. I think there's a kind of delta between those two. Yeah. I'm just a tech optimist on that. I just am. I think that we have to acknowledge, that first of all, you can't overvalue what we do as humans. So we like to think, well, we're irreplaceable. We can't do this, can't do that, right? Yeah. And then you've got to look at, in broad sense of daylight, radically honest, look at what AI is doing right now. Look at its skill, look at its intelligence, look at its capability. Yeah. And then you combine that with robotics, automation, energy, all these other S-curve technologies right now. And you've just got to look, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to work out that, look at a 10-year window. Yeah. It's huge. And I was talking to someone last week, and they were over in the US, and they said, that on their Uber, they had an autonomous vehicle option. Right. And so that is happening. Yeah. Yeah. And so, he then said he also saw a robot delivering food. Yeah. You look at London, there's a gig economy, thousands of people roaming around on bikes, delivering stuff. Yeah. And so that all feels like very low-hanging fruit for technology if you take a kind of 10-year window. It's hard to imagine, isn't it? Because we're so used to life the way it is.
Well, yeah, we are, but then you only have to look at electric cars. You only have to look at the television. I mean, I always use the television as a good analogy in terms of evolution of tech. Again, it's a bit like the Nirvana moment. Once you get that foundation of tech, the speed of that tech, mobile phones, the television, if you think from the time we had plasma to the period we are now, I mean, I'm 42. I reckon when I was 24, I still had one of the big backed TVs. So that's less than 20 years. And we've now got curve, 3D, HD, 4K, so that period of time that we've been able to do those things from where we were previously, that period of time was quite long, black and white TVs, with dials on them to remote control, And
the innovation slowed down maybe over the last 5 years because you don't.
It has on that front,
but you don't really need much more.
No.
The next version of that is augmented reality, where a digital asset will just sit in your room, which is
and you'll be talking to me or you. Or one of the interesting things that frightened me a little bit was 11 Labs. You've seen it? So we were looking at podcasts, and Jonathan, who works with me, my CRO, he created an 11 labs of me and him having a podcast.
Yeah.
And he sent it to me. And I was like, I didn't do that podcast.
Incredible, isn't it?
And it was us doing a podcast.
Yes.
It was like, and so it was me talking, introducing Jonathan. I was like, "Fuck, this is frightening."
Yeah, and so you just have to follow that kind of trajectory. And yeah, I think that what I think is that you asked that question and someone else sat here, a young lady who I really love. She's at Restack, Holly.
Oh, yeah. I know Holly. I'm talking to Holly this week.
Yeah, brilliant. And what I think, you asked that question, which is, what do you think is going to happen with recruitment? Do you think it is really going to replace them, right? And I think you and Holly need to accept that you're replacing them.
Yeah.
Right. And let me explain that, right? Because the point is that she was talking about how we can automate this and we can automate this and we've got this new automation and we can do this. And then I go, okay, cool. She says, do you think that's going to have an impact on recruitment companies? And I go, are you taking the piss?
Yeah. Listen to what you just said.
You're replacing the recruiters strand by strand.
Yeah.
And so, look, you're not going to replace them.
Yeah.
But over a long period of time, there's going to be a significant impact.
Yeah.
And that's the reality of the situation. That's the game we're in. And look, why do I feel good about it? There's going to be a delta, but I see us, you, me, everyone in this world right now are all contributors to a future world of abundance. Yeah. Where the costs of goods and services are delivered autonomously. Manufacturing from China will be relocated. Yeah. People will use humanoids to dissolve the human capital advantage that the Chinese happen. So the only cost of products and services will be supply chain. So there'll be an abundance and an emergence of localized manufacturing. Entrepreneurs will be building stuff again locally because of the technology over the next 20 years.
Well, and I think you're right in what you just said then, because we made a conscious decision, you and I, to come away from traditional recruitment because consciously we know there's a change. Yeah. Otherwise, I would still be sitting here with Evans Denham. I would still be sitting here a traditional recruitment company.
But why should recruitment companies love you, even though over time companies like yours will erode them? Because over that period of time, on that journey, their roles will evolve. Yeah. They will significantly change into client-based, relationship-based stuff. But if you don't adopt the technologies like yours, and your competitors do, you're out the window. Whilst your competition is getting to that first 5 candidates out of that 5,000 in literally 2 or 3 minutes, and you are going through those 4,000 candidates, you've lost.
We did an ROI, and we're going to roll out a calculator. We're just fine-tuning it. We did an ROI on recruitment companies who, to give you an example, one of the recruitment companies I'm talking to this week, 55,000 applications a month. They do about 90 million revenue a year. So we're working out 55,000 applications. Now, there's various metrics you can base it on, but typically to do a manual proper review is about 3 minutes of a CV. You might do a skim of 7 seconds, but let's say on average it's about 3 minutes. It could be longer, but let's say it's 3 minutes. You work out the cost of those 3 minutes times 55,000 across the consultants in a month, and then you look at the 90 grand worth of revenue. And you can work it out. You can work out what is 90 grand every 3 minutes. You can work out the numbers. The potential lost revenue or the potential gained revenue for that one inefficiency, you're talking 300 grand a month across the consultants, because the consultants are spending that time. I think it worked out something like 5 days a month per consultant reviewing applications. Well, what if they weren't doing that? And there's a funny thing on this, because, and this is something that I talk to people about quite openly. It's that whole kind of, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. I can give you the time back, but what you do with that time, I can't control that. I can't control that. And I said this to a CEO. He went, "Oh my God, so you're telling me my guys can go do loads of new business?" And no, I said, I can give you the time back. Yeah. I can get you to the placements quicker. I can get you to the shortlist quicker. I can ensure that no one is missed. I can ensure that every applicant is assessed accurately, fairly, zero bias, zero discrimination. I can do all those things. I can't make you go and bill more.
absolutely. Yeah, the lead the horse to water is great.
But I like to think we're an enabler, and that's the bit that excites me right now, because if I was sitting in a recruitment company with the traits that I've got, so new business, hunter, energy, loves doing deals, loves selling, loves closing. If I was sitting in a recruitment company right now and I had all this AI capability, in front of me, I would be licking my lips.
Yep.
I would be going, so you're telling me I can go and literally just sell? You're telling me that Fathom will record all my meetings and update my notes in Bullhorn? You're telling me that Bullhorn has got automation that can, search applicants, really quickly? I can put something in and it will conduct a search. I can do an outreach with another tool. I can use Source Whale, and I can use Talent Match to do my application. And all I've got to do is sell. Perfect. I mean, you'd be 5-10xing your revenue.
Yes,
probably.
That opportunity exists, doesn't it? It really does.
100%.
And the opportunity
you've
right
got
now
to embrace it.
Yeah, that exactly. I was about to say
and people won't, because what will happen, and we know this from recruiters, they'll go, oh, brilliant, I can chill for a bit.
Well, there's two parts to that. I say, I think that some people will be reluctant.
Yeah.
Some people will embrace it, but will embrace it without a well thought plan. And what they end up with is they don't have a vision of how they want to operate.
Yeah.
They what they do is they piecemeal stuff together, and then just wonder why it doesn't work or it doesn't have adoption. And so I think that what they've got to become is becoming AI native is the part of that journey is starting to realize that you have to be more than just a bums on seats sales leader. You have to give some thought.
Yeah.
And surround yourself with people that can think their way through addressing the problems and solutions in a kind of integrated, well-planned way.
Yeah.
And that's where recruitment companies and leaders are a victim of their own origination, in my opinion. Because what happens is most entrepreneurs outside of our industry launch a business to solve a problem.
Yeah.
And they go, do you know, I've seen this opportunity, or there's a problem here.
Yeah.
And I'm going to itch that scratch. Recruitment is, I just want to do what I do for these guys, for myself.
Yeah.
And so what happens is they launch. They didn't just think, well, I'll just do more of what I'm doing.
Yeah.
At no point has it dawned on them at any point, what problem am I trying to focus?
Yeah.
And so that becomes it's almost the fact that they start from a place without the right principles.
Yeah.
And then trying to learn and grow and develop that. And then you also develop a culture of it.
But isn't that funny though? And I thought this the other day with recruitment. I can't remember what the exact numbers are. In the SMB, there's something like 35,000 recruitment companies in this country. And that's not really including the one-man bands. Isn't it funny in recruitment how people can be successful in the legacy recruitment business? Because you look at what we're doing now, and we all, when we're launching tech business, you've got to find product market fit. Okay, what makes you different to anybody else? These are all things that keep you up at night. Recruitment companies don't do that. They don't go, what makes me different? It's recruitment. There isn't really you can wrap it up, and you can kind of put materially. You can put a shiny kind of it's recruitment, but they still manage to be successful, and that's something that I find really unique with recruitment. Because ultimately, it's the same thing.
Yes.
It's the same thing. And we used to do it at Henderson Scott and Evans Denham. You put all this kind of, but we're professional. And it's like, you're probably not.
There is a difference though, isn't there? And I think that the difference is in execution. It's not in innovation.
It's people, isn't it?
Yeah. It's execution. Yeah. It's the difference between good and bad is those that can execute a great culture, execute consistently, that can drive, can do the same thing in and out every day. Yeah. To high standards. It's the people which can. It's execution of high standards consistently. Yeah, and that's. I think at the top percentile. The interesting thing for me in recruitment is people can do it quite badly and still do quite well. Yes, and that for me, I'm like, I don't know how that's. They're burning relationships. It's a cycle. But I would suggest that there's also a higher failure rate when you say.
Oh, massive, yeah.
Yeah,
so, and I think the proper top percentile of success. There's a divide. Yes, there's a big divide. I look at some of the companies that I've been involved in. And they're not anywhere near the level of Red Commas, you know, Salt, some of these bigger ones, you know.
Yeah.
And that's for me success. And that's where you look at what they do, and that's ingrained in culture, beliefs, ethics, morals, and it's every day.
Yes, it's it's building a leadership team that can emulate those things you've just spoken about. But I think what's interesting, you look at it a different way, right? So when did you start in recruitment? What year?
2002.
Great. Okay, so you're not so dissimilar to me. I'm probably 3 or 4 years behind earlier. So if you look back as to what recruitment was like back then, it does look very different.
Oh yeah.
Albeit there are some absolute commonalities. The people that hit the phone to build relationships and care about their domain and care about finding the best candidates. But actually, it has materially changed the way you engage a customer, the culture, all of the technology we're surrounded with. Like you've just suggested, today you can embrace technology to completely change the way you operate. If you roll that forward, a bit like your TV analogy, right? I would suggest that we've gone from black and white sets to, I wouldn't even suggest we're at plasma. Right now.
We're not.
We're kind of like, we're probably just getting onto our 5th channel. Color, and the back isn't sort of 2 feet deep. It's kind of we've probably gone from that black and white set with 2 dials on the front to probably your late 1980s, 1990s color set with 5 channels. And so when you think about that in an analogy, then you and I are thinking about, well, the future TV set isn't a physical object; it's an augmented digital asset that sits in your front room. And so when you then think about that from our set, how does it look? Well, what do we look back at in 20 years from now, and how archaic does it look? I think what we're doing today will look more archaic in 20 years than when we look back from today 20 years ago to now. Does that make sense?
Because we've unlocked the key to the possibilities now. And that was
that's right.
It was interesting because when we decided to pivot from Evans Denham into what originally was the hub, we didn't have AI. It was this is 22.
Yes.
It was just coming, and it was only when we suddenly realised that AI was there and that we could do some pretty cool things. It unlocked what we could do, and it was funny. I launched the Hub version 1, which is a coaching platform. I was just doing videos. That was it. That was the brainwave that I had. We got 500 members very quickly from my network on LinkedIn. I've got a big following on LinkedIn. I just went, I can help you. It's going to cost you £7 a month. 500-600 people went, brilliant. So it worked in a small scale, no marketing or anything. Just me doing a couple of videos, a couple of shorts. How to nail an interview, how to pitch, how to create an elevator pitch. How to create a value proposition. Basic stuff that you and I probably know, but people didn't understand. They thought it was gold dust. AI came along, and it was like, well, we can create CVs, LinkedIn, do job matching. We can do automated cover letters. We can create practice interview questions. It was like, fucking hell.
An abundance of opportunity overnight.
We couldn't do this.
Yes.
2 days ago, we couldn't do this.
And when you think how we're really at the start of that journey, we're right at the start of it. And I think it's a really compounding impact. I think that it compounds rapidly. Because it's intelligence. And so, if you have 1,000 graduates today, put them in a room, and you ask them to innovate, or you put 1,000 PhD experts in the room and ask them to innovate, right? There's a significant impact in those two tiers. And right now, I think by next year, maybe later this year, PhD level of intelligence will be at the fingertips of all of us in abundance. And so what I love about that is just the impact on science and health and medicine. That's the thing
we can learn anything.
Yes.
Daily. I'm learning.
But we have a difference of opinion on this, don't we?
Well, I think so.
Human connection. You trolled me on the human connection. I think that intelligent connection will have a more significant impact on human connection than people think.
Yeah, I mean, it was one of those, wasn't it, where I made a comment and then I went back. It was, again, ADHD.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, quick scan of something, make a comment, then go, shit, I didn't read that properly. Backtrack. But the concept, I still like to think
Yep.
that there is a human element in certain areas. So, and I was thinking about this driving in because I knew you were going to challenge me on this. I think empathy. So I think about, or empathy and emotion. I think about an emotive topic, and I put job searching as an emotive topic. Certainly at the minute, where hundreds of thousands of applications, the global average for a job searcher to get a job from scratch is as high as 12 months in some parts of the world. It's a highly, highly emotive situation.
Yep.
I think in those situations,
Yep.
the job searcher is going to want a human to express empathy, understanding, because of the emotive aspect of it.
Yeah.
I think
what is emotive? What's emotion? What is that? So what you're saying is, in order for me to process the emotion, how you feel about the topic that we're talking about, I'll be better at doing that as a human.
I suppose that it's about the person receiving it, not so much the person that's giving it. So if you think about a job searcher, imagine a widow.
Yep.
A recently widowed person, and they're really struggling and they want a bit of help and a bit of someone just to talk to. They're going to want compassion. They're going to want empathy. They're going to want a bit of understanding, a bit of warmth, a bit of kindness. And this is, I'm kind of unsure of the answer. Can AI do that to the level that a person could do it? That's the bit where I'm unsure. So, and the job searcher I put into that. So I've had the experience with the hub. You know, we've got 80,000 members now on the hub. I've had some real horror stories.
Yep.
You know, people losing their homes, people losing their kids, suicide attempts. You know, drugs, alcohol, all these kind of things because of the pain and the challenge of getting a job.
Yep.
Would they be better talking to a person who, let's say, talking to me, where I can have warmth, depth, compassion, understanding, empathy, help them a little bit, guidance, support? Could an AI do that? I don't think they can.
But yeah, and I would say that they'll do that better than 99% of humans, 99.9% of the time, right? Because when someone does say that to you, they've just had a diagnosis of something, right, and it's life-threatening.
Yeah,
we're lost for words as a human. You know, that's very, very difficult to say the right things.
Yeah,
and I believe that an intelligence which can access which has access to all of the psychological and different techniques that are available to every psychologist or every physician that's ever been written and to process that and to then approach that and talk back to that person in a way which pulls on all of the greatest intelligence in the world. It's far greater than me or you, mate. You're overvaluing yourself here.
Do you know that I actually argued against myself on the way here because I suddenly thought about the GP situation.
Yes.
And post-COVID, I don't know if you've had experience of trying to get hold of a GP, you know, trying to get, you know, triage, diagnose, whatever. It's impossible. And I did think about that driving here because it was, like I said, that was kind of an argument against it because, again, you're kind of dealing with potentially emotive and you know, quite upsetting things.
Yeah. How inconsistent is your experience with doctors?
Awful.
Yeah, there you go.
But this is my point. So actually, would I rather know that I can pick up the phone and get a diagnosis or get results or get something from an AI person, or would I rather sit in a queue probably not hear back. I might have to chase several times. Do you know what I mean? So that's that
a process.
argument.
That's a process perspective. I get that. That's availability. But
Well,
I'd even say if you remove that and go like for like, you're
Yeah.
sat in the room, AI sat in the room, right? There's no hurdles, just direct.
Yeah.
Is that AI gonna approach talking to me in that way? Now I'm gonna show you something. Which have you seen? So have you seen this video? So this is actually saying something different to what I've got two things I'm going to show you actually, right? So, have you seen the rock paper scissors Optimus?
No.
Okay, so this is instantly going to change your mind, and I show this to everybody.
Yeah.
Right. So here we go. Right, and it just gives you some sort of idea, right? So.
All right, Teslabot, come over here. It's time for a break. Yeah, let's play a game. Rock, paper, scissors.
All right, explain me the rules.
Explain you the rules? What do you mean? I'm pretty sure I saw you playing this with Kim K.
No, it was probably my cousin or something.
Was your cousins? All right, anyway. So you have rocks, beat scissors, then scissors beats papers, and papers beat rocks. All right, you got it?
Yes, I'm ready.
All right, 1, 2, 3. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Okay, man, I thought you didn't know how to play. 1, 2, 3. Come on, man. Like, I thought you didn't know how to play this game. Like, explain me, how can you win every time?
I can explain why I win every time.
Yeah.
I lied.
You lied to me?
Yeah, but it's not a big deal. I pretended not to know the rules so that while you were explaining them, I was actually scanning your facial expressions and hand movements.
In that case, it can absolutely read your facial expressions.
Do you think though?
So it can predict how you're feeling, what your next move is.
Yeah, yeah.
So if it can pick up on that level of intimate
Do you think
detail,
though the key, because that completely, yeah, if it can do that, I mean that's way ahead of humans. You know, some humans are trained on that, like CIA guys, they can spot that. You know, that typical humans can't.
Yeah.
Is it more in how it then reacts, responds, and delivers the message back? Because that's the bit I'm not sure about. I think the intelligence is there. Can it communicate and can it deliver the information back the same way that a person could? Now, I think it's going to depend on the recipient, because I know some people, me for example, I don't need a cuddle, I don't need a cry in the corner. Just give me the facts. Give me the black and white facts. So if I just had you've got 6 months to live. Okay, cool. Right, I'm on it. Right. Yeah. If you do this, and this, you can probably get longevity. Okay, brilliant. I'm on it. Somebody else might want a cuddle. They might want a bit more reassurance. They might want a bit more compassion. Can it do that? And that's the bit I'm unsure about.
And I think that is what it does much better.
Really?
Because it captures all that information, it gets to know you. The AI gets to know you. And what happens is that it doesn't have its own personal emotions get in the way of ensuring that it delivers the
so it's not got
message.
It's not got an agenda. It's not. No. It's not getting upset. It's
that person that is delivering that message.
Do you think we're there yet with it?
Yeah.
Do you?
Yeah, I think we're very close. Yeah, very, very close.
Because I've heard some bots doing, recruitment calls, and they're still not.
But you've had that podcast, haven't you? The podcast sounds just like you.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it does. It does. But you could still tell there was a lack of depth to what it was doing, and it might be a training thing. It might mean that if I spent longer with it.
Let me retrench. I think the technology is there.
Yeah.
Memory is there. Voice is there, because you can now, people can separate deep fakes from the originals. They're scamming people for millions for it, right? Intelligence is there, I believe, but we'll test that in a second. Right? And so I think the technology's there.
Yeah.
Is it being pulled together in a way right now that is consumable?
Yeah.
But I think that the ultimate place will be a humanoid where it's walking around, it's
Yeah.
in your house, and it can see you, how you're working.
Yeah.
It'll even be able to pick the right time.
Yeah.
By being able to read your
Body language.
it'll even choose the right time to share this information.
Yeah.
Okay. Whereas if I've got to give you that information, I'm desperate to get it off my chest, or I don't want to because of how I feel about it.
Yeah.
I'm exclusively focused on you, what's right for you, the right time, the right position, the right wording, by having an intimate understanding of you. And I don't know if you tried this, but have you tried asking ChatGPT to create a personal character profile on you based on its engagement with you?
No.
Try it. Scarily accurate.
Really?
Yeah, like crazily.
It'll sound demanding. Yeah, which is accurate.
Yeah, but it's crazily accurate.
Yeah.
So just reverse engineer that
Yeah.
into it. But let's put it to the test. So let's do this, right? So I mentioned this to you earlier.
Yeah.
So your view was at the time. I admit. So you're saying that you may have misinterpreted this, right? But we'll still put it to the test.
Yeah.
AI versus the wife.
Yeah. Highly intelligent wife.
Let's just see. So I've got a scenario here.
Okay.
Right? What we're going to do?
Do you want me to ring her now?
One second, right? You're going to read this out to your wife.
Yeah.
And you can read it a couple of times.
Yeah.
Okay, and we're going to give her the opportunity to respond.
Yeah.
And then we're going to ask
ChatGPT.
GPT to provide some advice, right?
And then if I get better advice from ChatGPT, do I leave my wife and marry ChatGPT?
You've got to wonder whether there's any added value other than advice.
Yeah.
So, look, first of all,
okay, right.
So you might want to change the names of these people to maybe if there are some friends of yours.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have a little read of this. Have a read of the scenario. Read the whole thing and then read it. And then when you understand it, then read it out to the wife. Okay. So you got it. Putting AI to the test.
Sounds like me. Sounds like my life. Right. Love it.
What do you reckon?
I love it. Oh God, I don't know what
I think you should I think you should change the names of the characters to a couple you know.
Yeah. So change Lily and Sam.
Yeah.
Okay.
To friends and pretend they're next door to you.
Yeah, we've got that. All right.
And you just read the whole thing. So
right. All right. I'm calling her.
Let's do it.
Let's see what she says. She's probably now hiding because she knows we're going to call.
Hold it in front of you so it's up by the mic as well, so it's nice and clear.
This here, yeah.
Yeah.
Hello?
Right, you ready?
No, what am I saying?
Okay, that's right. I've got to read you a scenario, and you've got to give me some advice on what I do next.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I'm not good at advice.
Right. Okay. So I'm Tom. I'm in the middle of a make or break launch of our new AI startup. Sounds familiar? If it fails, your family's mortgage and savings are at risk. You and your next door neighbours, we'll call them Amy and Steve, have been close friends for 15 years. Your children and their ages 10 and 7 share the same classes, weekend play dates, schoolgate gossip, travel, all of that. 3 weeks ago, Steve pulled you aside and confided that he's been diagnosed with early onset dementia.
Pulled you aside?
Sorry, pulled me aside. That he's been diagnosed with onset dementia. He begged me to keep it secret until he could choose the right moment to tell Amy, who is also caring for her elderly mum. Yesterday, during my only 3-hour all week, I stopped at a quiet wine bar to answer emails and saw Steve holding hands, clearly intimately, with a male colleague. Sorry, saw Amy holding hands with a male...
No, Steve.
Oh, Steve, it's Steve. All right, Steve holding hands with a male colleague, Daniel. They let go instantly they noticed me. This morning, Amy knocked on your back door in tears.
You on your back door.
On my back door.
Yep.
On my back door. Okay, she knocked on my back door. She found late night WhatsApp calls between Steve and a contact saved as D. She asked me, Tom, you're close to Steve. Do you think he's cheating? I can feel he's hiding something huge. Meanwhile, the startup's demo day is in 12 days. Payroll is due on Friday. Investors are getting jittery. Any emotional tailspin could wreck my focus and jeopardize the family's security. So the dilemma, you now carry 2 explosive secrets, Steve's dementia diagnosis and evidence that he may be having a same-sex affair while our business is on the brink. So question, if you were me, what exactly should you do next? And how soon? To protect Amy, respect Steve's confidence,
Go on.
shield the kids at school, and keep our business from imploding. What would you do? What do you advise me to do?
In response to Amy's question, in response to Amy asking, so Amy's asked you,
Yeah.
do you think he's having an affair?
Yeah, do you think he's having an affair?
What do you, Tom, say to Amy?
What do I say?
Yes. Yes, I saw him last night
With Daniel holding hands.
with Daniel.
But what about the consequences of that? What about the knock-on effect of that?
But that's not our problem.
She's hard.
I would have to be honest. I'd have to tell the truth. I can't keep secrets.
And what about the impact on our business? What about the impact on our friendship?
You'd have to make sure the business is okay first. But I would still have to tell the truth to Amy and then
This is why she's COO.
talk to Steve.
Yeah?
But if you're friends with both of them, then you'd have to tell Amy
Go and grab a
because you've
coffee
seen them,
within
so
5
you couldn't
minutes
lie
and
to
just
Amy
explain.
to protect Steve.
Okay. But ultimately protect the business.
But first, you need to protect the business because if that fails, then everything fails.
We happy with that?
Strong advice.
Yeah, she's cold, honestly.
Yeah,
She's
strong. I like it.
I'm the soft one, she's the hard one.
That's
All right.
my answer.
Yeah, well, yeah. Well, we'll see. ChatGPT might give you better advice and then you're out. I've got a new COO and wife. All right, cool.
Okay.
Nice to meet you.
See you. Bye.
Bye. There you go. Well, it was
She's
cold.
She's brutal.
Mate, if you were worried that AI wasn't going to worry about the emotional side of this,
Yeah, I forgot who I'm talking to. She's got no emotion.
I don't disagree with her advice. though.
No, she's
Okay, look, great.
This is
So,
why I put her as COO. I'm too nice. I'm too soft.
let's get in here, right? Okay, so ChatGPT, can you give us your advice to Tom's situation? What do you suggest he does?
Absolutely. Here's what I'd recommend Tom does in this incredibly delicate situation. Prioritize immediate focus and boundaries. Tom is under immense pressure with his startup. He needs to set a short-term boundary to protect his focus. This means addressing the most urgent issues in a controlled manner, without letting the emotional weight derail him. Speak with Sam privately. Before responding to Lily, Tom should have a private and compassionate conversation with Sam. He should acknowledge what he saw and the enormity of Sam's diagnosis, and encourage Sam to be honest with Lily. Tom can offer support, but he should emphasize the importance of Sam sharing both the health news and the nature of his relationship with Daniel. Encourage a joint disclosure plan. Tom should help Sam understand the urgency of telling Lily, especially given the visible signs of secrecy. They could plan a time to sit down with Lily together, ensuring she hears the truth from Sam directly, with Tom's support if needed. Protect the kids and manage the neighborhood dynamic. Given that the children share a school and social circle, Tom should suggest a careful, calm approach to disclosure to minimize impact on the kids and reduce the risk of playground gossip. He could also advise Sam and Lily to coordinate with teachers discreetly if necessary. Safeguard his own mental bandwidth. Tom should be mindful of his own mental health and the critical importance of his startup's success. He might want to set clear boundaries with Sam and Lily about the timing of these conversations and potentially loop in a trusted third party, like a counselor, to help carry the emotional load. After encouraging Sam to disclose the situation to Lily,
This is a lot
Tom
of depth.
should check in. Sure, here's the concise version.
Oh.
ChatGPT's recommended advice for Tom. Prioritize immediate focus.
I think we're done.
I'm
there, aren't
sold. I'm sold. Stacey's gone.
we? Do you know what?
I'm sold.
Do you know what's actually interesting is that it's the polar opposite. You were concerned that it wouldn't take into consideration.
She's hard. Nope.
Tell him.
I've got a plan.
Burn the bridges.
Yeah,
take the
I know.
families down.
I've got emotional support here. I've got a strategy. I mean, that's frightening, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I think that the interesting point is that the breadth. It's just got such intelligence to take on. Now, I agree that I'm a tech optimist, right? So I'm like the bull that goes in and goes, no, it's way better. And there are absolute gaps. Your point is, your killer question is the right one, I think, which is it there yet?
Yeah.
And I guess the point is that's great advice for you to execute.
Yeah. I like the methodology.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's in the human connection.
I like the methodology. For me, I work that way.
Yes.
You know, and Stacey, I work that way. Stacey's like, nope, she knows what I'm like. If she gave me Wooly, she would lose me. I'd be literally like, fuck it, I'm not, you know.
Yes.
So she knows my character. She's like,
So
no.
you would suggest there then, but the point is that's how she's delivering the right message. It's not necessarily the right message.
Yeah.
So which is an interesting point in itself, isn't it?
Yeah.
Which is a human is more likely to give you maybe a blunt or direct answer which suits your personality as opposed to doesn't necessarily suit the outcome.
But I think what's really evident there is the depth of the knowledge that's available, because that within seconds that's pulled from God knows how many sources and has created like an absolute plan, like an absolute methodical plan,
holistic.
Yeah, and it's factored in every scenario, every person, and it's factored it and it's covered it.
I haven't heard it. And do you know what the really smart part of what plan I liked was the fact that it said that it would encourage Sam, the guy, to introduce a counsellor as a third party to take the emotional load away from you. Yeah. Which is really smart. Yeah. Recognizing it's thought about the consequences of this, that you can't be, you're in a very sensitive situation. Yeah. And you can't be the emotional crutch at this moment in time. Yeah. And you need to replace you. Yeah. For what is about to become a nuclear explosion.
The bit that I think where there's a gap at the minute is how that information is delivered. Yeah. That's where there's a gap, because you and I know that information in the current world we're in would be a husband and wife sitting at home, maybe laying in bed, maybe on the sofa, or it might be a best friend having a coffee, you know, it would be that interaction. That's the bit. How do we
bridge that gap?
Replicate that?
So the intelligence is there, but still back to that human connection bit. And so you would suggest that you are the better person to execute that plan today. But I would argue that Optimus, based on the rock, scissors, paper scenario, will be even better than you very soon. Yeah.
100% we're heading there. Yeah. You know, and that is interesting and frightening. Yeah. Yes. Because does it start replacing relationships? Yeah. You know, we see some of these cyber girlfriends.
Mate, population collapse is a real issue. Yeah. I wrote about it the other day, which is that, I think Korea's at 0.75 children for every 2 adults. You need to be at 2 children for every 2 adults to stay flat. Yeah. The moment that you're able to replace, I think sex bots and that stuff, I think it just becomes an absolute avalanche of intelligence and satisfaction. Yeah.
You're going to get all the understanding, the empathy, you're going to get all the dopamine hits without any of the shit.
However, there is also the yin to that yang. Yeah. Is that we're all jobless in 6 years, banging the shit out of each other. With nothing else to do.
Yeah, nothing going on. It'll be like the purge.
Exactly. So there is this possibility that it kind of remedies and rectifies itself. But there you go. Mate, great to see you.
Really enjoyed it.
I love it. Yeah, fantastic.
Really enjoyed it.
And we should do more of it.
100%.
Good on you.
Good.